I was a member of the radical left for many years, and I was very active in that leadership circle. I traveled to 3 different continents for the cause, and I can tell you from my previous experience, what goes on behind closed doors is far worse in those circles than anything that has come out. What we say, what me and my former comrades used to say behind closed doors about Jews, we made no distinction between Jews or Zionists. These are all, there were even, training of how we should communicate outwards when we made those differences, that make sure you talk about Zionists when you're speaking to the outsiders. But within closed doors, we all knew that this is all about the Jews, because in that wicked, poisonous ideology of radical leftism and Marxism and Trotskyism, it's all connected that the Jews run the world. I don't need to repeat the plethora of nonsense that you already know about, but as a former Islamist, you will be well aware that there is a lot of those ideologies that are replicated within the extreme left. So the moment Jeremy Corbyn, who's best friends with the likes of Ken Livingstone and Mr. George Galloway, came into power, I basically just started my stopwatch and said, it won't take too long before this stuff comes out.
Oh, so you knew the minute that the Labour Party elected Corbyn as its leader that all of this was going to come to the fore?
Within seconds, it's so obvious, and you can always bet on it that at the moment anyone proclaiming themselves to be a Marxist and proudly doing so comes out, inherently this will fall. Inherently, there's no exception to. You can look wherever you want in history.
And explain that to us, Amir. Is that because what you said? I've just found really interesting. What you just said about, you said that outside of the Israel question, they have embedded within these Marxist theories of the way the world is run, almost as an implicit thing there when criticising capitalism. Is it the case you're saying that when criticising capitalism, invariably they end up pointing to somehow this conspiracy theory that Jews run the world's financial markets?
Well, you only need to go back to Marx's own writing. In 1843, he wrote a book called Zur Judenfrage, or on English, I believe it's called On the Jewish Question, where the second chapter or second section of that book just goes to really explain all of the evils of the world. I mean, it's a bit more complex than that, but it stems from there. So yes, the answer to your question is definitely that it all comes to that. There's no distinction. I mean, Israel-Palestine is just a front. That's all it is.
Karl Marx has a book called On the Jewish Question.
Correct. I think it was written in 1843. The German title is Zur Judenfrage.
And of course, committed Marxists today will be aware of this and read it.
Of course, yes. And they have very strong defenses that no, it's not anti-Semitic. It's actually promoting secularism. But, you just need to read it yourself and you will immediately see all these tropes that you're so well aware of from your days as an Islamist, and I'm so well aware of as my days as a socialist, radical socialist, and Marxist and Trotskyist.
I'm fascinated. What led you to become disillusioned with this Trotskyist ideology?
Well, a lot of things. I guess the one thing that really helps is something that I always challenge the so-called supporters of Palestine with, is that since 1948 there has been over 11 million Muslims killed in armed combat. 35,000% or 0.3% of those have been killed by Israel. That's 0.3%. In Pakistan alone, over 4 million civilians have been killed. So why the disproportionate anger towards Israel? At the moment you challenge them with these figures, they start to realize that within themselves, that it's more than just, oh no, I just want to defend the Palestinians.
And just to make it clear, Amir, what's your own background? Your ethnic background is Persian?
Correct.
Right. So there's no dog in this fight. You're not Jewish. You're not coming from any biased place.
No, I mean, my own bias is a hatred I have for my former self. And if there are any Jews, brothers and sisters listening, I just want to wholeheartedly apologize for my actions that I used to have in those days.
Wow.
And it's a shame that I will have to live with for the rest of my life.